The tachyon, the pre-object, the time particle. An image is totality. A succeeding image is an occultation of image, of totality. Dream's dominion is that of the tachyons. Never having occurred, it has occurred. Its contrapuntal transit is what gives image its force of dimension. Its succession in the key of a force of dimension is a stereoscopic reiteration of image. The transgressive orbit in the garden lengthens. It is the glimpse of hypnagogia, the inevitability of consciousness that the eternal predicates. Interval and star, rose easy, seas agape, Crete red, to high horizon, no one. One interval. These are identical. They are chronozoan. The tachyon has never occurred and exists only in the past. The present is only the past, the coma of the tachyon. Anubis walks to meet dream. At what hour's morrow is it not true? A twin sifts all alike. The consciousness of consciousness of consciousness is 1 hour, a glow of a boat that transports only Anubis. Again, with those elegant trouble Luna eyes, the wreck aglow, hull, halo will hollow, leave. Though sunlight speaks and apostle gazes, can the soul counterbalance the hieroglyph of matter, matter's merest nature, what it knows of itself? And this is the nature of the hieroglyph, matter's knowledge of itself. Who is Detective Robert Houdin? In the doorway the sunlight speaks and apostle gazes, like a mirror with thought. It drowns a cross's high, heavy hive, forbidden in noun. In the accorded twin, to hear it, it is the buzz a meadow is in. To see it, it is like a mirror with thought, that it would turn, a labor attic waked twice, earth and its planet, with tall flowers stacked, armoire moons that haven one, never as if faded, two. Two-moon session none, it is icon, trepanned light turns it. The meadow, in a far wave anchored, did what to a secret? A screen of bees, the unknown nova vivid. Below, eyelid hued it all it did, to hive again was, in name, a sky's honey noose. Who is Detective Robert Houdin? The virtual abattoir of time leaned into meaningless pattern printed in pendulum ink by a traveler in his journal. In his journal, the traveler is his double. He is marbled with the over-riddle, lapidary clouds in a mind, in a wingless sunlight, barren to it to own by hand, while meaning nothingness is in the journal. By truer feel, a liar, in the hand, mirror-blooded, though for a deedle by dark eyelid is left behind on a cemetery table. The day has 2,000,000, Eden, Adam, Moonway, in noon glass, spider ruin, in which of the alphabet's beakers? The iris's circle are cratered in the glass of the hemlock hours, vain wing. Then a lute wanes, as if her seas wane. Night foliage silhouettes the one missing music note. The one plus the one plus the one latency of reason. A cadaver of reflections, waked to pour hour in a cup, in a god-web air, in an orbit. Humankind must debase itself. It is the only act that can be committed against God, else there is no numeral hell on the clock face, fellow princes. The radiometer whispers, Deus ex machina, Deus ex machina, Deus ex machina, and mare cognitum has the name he sang, coma's quantity. the theatre of one tenant. To be parallel to existence is to sense a lethe monotony. Thoughts learn to be mirrory. There is an intervening precision of time, not time. Thoughts in gulls that slur round a beam, hourly with the reason, an hour will the many ten, unknown to orphan knowing by reason. Gulls that ride out a braille height to gazed hiddenness. A beam reaches the stage, although a mind, one without it, is a pair. See uses 9 of it to him. Is all coherent to a mind, one without it? An absent theme gull's wing, that deity is it ascended? These auguries, and it, a beam reaches the stage, are diamond din that what denied to possess into the macro glassing. A beam reaches the stage, like through a diamond twin, the Usia sea crosses in, to heap a marriage the sea stitch. That hat at Io dust had sowed. Is it owed? The sea is curious. A spider's sill helical flag is thought citizen edited. Is it memory so it spins the same address atop the cemetery's mast? A quantum is that it is designed, the Eimer's sensation of the constellations, an accompaniment. Again, a time is that it doted dust one night as it is same. Merest is a bobbin's ounce. The cemetery has 1 ounce of bleached calm, a piano moon night shell, and so may terrace sea shadow. In a beam a statue webbed the diamond ton of its shadow. A beam of light laddered serialization of its rungs. Is the one halo the one by errand? Tetsi speck walk a maze, a cemetery, and to name a god past, one lost is beauty's life. More hear him wake whom. And the light is one, while then apprehended as it is, becomes antinomic to possession, a past to one, while as it is. If I lidded tilted tortoise o'er, Helios sheen on noon shall shill look, deep bossed Ionian buzz, hidden Nile, sea ceased, is the cemetery for the cemetery a beam of light. The blessed of candied winds no more rehearse to cane body's azure cradle. A gull will bet a hard diamond, one reiteration. The sea is a rhyme, the cemetery is a rhyme. Thought too would time and dead deny ready reason this symmetry. It can be disregarded like all beauty. The blessed of candied winds no more rehearse with scissory hema. Those mute roses harm in the shot glass dome on it, near it, reason. This is before the world was plundered. The statue's eyes have tortoise shell. Overhead the gulls drift design away, a fork-rude road, 10 dead guests, a sun alone with high, the opposite to it, time. And time on scrolled rungs, heavy eddying words, to each Father Frank of Nuage in Ashve had grafted, fading spokes of high, serene hold windows. Overhead, what through eyelids planetary head, through azure nailed winds, it has never occurred and exists only in the past. In a cloister bed, what again of roses has been gathered would letter eternity in thought. That it must be contemplated to be true has stipple willow eyelashes, a summer revenant to touch. That most begun at time by blotted white buttery roses establishes a mirror of vantage. The rose, the dim sight opaque and atom piled of rose and marble, are the wave-fitting carotid's touch, the ballast of continents in mirrors. The statue oversees the polyironies of butterflies. They have of eyes seesaw lowly leprosy, abutted double a land, appear rarely a machinery, like the bell Orion weighs in his empty steeple, their cure possibility so seen recesses. Butterflies, a mock statue, and a statue hold still to memorize less stars visually perceptible and purely imaginary. The sea announces this stove of roses with polar lorn icy wave heaped to tattery, waveless. What is the mass of one? Of one there is a mesmerized elapsing. The gulls are enthroned on signposts. The distance, disintegrated orbit. Even the air resumes a mirror's stall. By Abyssinian wing, a design agreed to repeat. The cloud's hiatus is with them, is even. The clouds are a will of folly, finite edited. The vein will climb a pace of halo, fallow of flow. Icy with heavenlock, gleam opposes a veil of. What is the cloud before or after? Eternity, one without it, the grasses linger in crowns of singer. To be somewhere was full of fade, ornate widow. Why are the grasses adorned to hide? By use is sigh summer in noon-green sieves, a noun which share. Silence has the speed of a drowned way the grasses tide. On each grass dubs, a star, a sun, thought doubted with crosses step begun, the march of grasses through cemetery gates. The fingerprints of metamorphosis. In the forest, the observatory, a ghost orb, allotted time of a moon tenant exed, a rippleid. Time each way the moon was fawn or reason, so the pair is since, if thought, or morn without, a mirror synod, to appear a synod. The astronomer learned to dream is the dreamer, when the dreamer is not present in the forest where he smokes his pipe. The trees are March empty. The pipe smoke unfurls like this is both. Each once Ovid's hand in a tree's nave fairer, whether wakes it seen halo any with boughs divided, so to wind slowly have. And, he says, the hydra and the non-moted azures, times intervals repeated in the follows of cloud dark white in irrational numbers. The circle is the beginning. is the mirror with only one ripple. She is the sea's two artifacts. Bower rose a Pequod of wave and sea, may will sea clept, be truer founded eddy, be thought to thought, mere known thought, tremors see in it to be hers, so sea is ended at the sea, the Usya sea, by the agency of its twin nature, was never there, exists only in the past of its twin, itself. The world wants the same old thing. That it had infinite thought, it did, the pipe smoke unfurling. The smoke he guessed, trebled time iffy mountain, what waxed. Too replete, it means a finer rose tense as storm. Dream is the dreamer when the dreamer is not present. The trees are March empty. He thinks of her. This recluse sees the mare hearth and lunar Babel has the opaque waning. The trees are autumn filled. Page 159 of Petrobelli's The Solstice of Space reads, with virtual space, space becomes externalized from itself, from its preoccupation of endlessness. It becomes not so much an abstract, but absolute adjunct to the limit of the external. Its extent becomes a liminal hierarchy. In the Alpha, the cosmos' undetermined potential, the firmament of grace, is relinquished, eclipsed. Time reclaims clairvoyance and the golden stitches of Christ's solar cocoon on a pond's cataract angel bed. In the Omega, the interminable dislocation of space and time's subsequent refusal of identity can only be a stillness. And perhaps Uccello intended to prefigure the magician's triptych panel nature of this gap in the plane of his painting, The Last Supper, when he used the golden stitches of Christ's solar cocoon to render Platonic volumes. The hounds are candle flames laid lengthwise, are beheld tongue flames in a wind of Ak and Ka and Ba. The painting is the movement of a complex activity from beginning to end, and the stillness of an instant of that activity in a Sisyphean palimpsest, an oscillation foundered in the broken instrument of foreground and deep ground, the hunt of light, the parable of light, the mysterium that is light's divesting of light's presence, and is its subtle alone, Seven's Diana untied pole star visibility, and is its disappearance into the coma by looks waked fiat of a forest. The subject, with an acute predisposition for sensing it, and after a long voluntary and systematically self-designed openness to it, became enmeshed in an unusually vivid expression of the collective unconsciousness. In his affairs with others, even in the most quotidian of exchanges, in the city where he lived. Its articulation became so present that he eventually believed that through some delinquency he was being made to realize at greater and greater urgency a threshold of metempsychosis. his repeated failures to make such a passage, and the evolving of the collective unconsciousness into a mask of individuals overseeing that passage, forced him into the idea of manipulating the relationship between his own consciousness and this circumscribing pole of consciousness in order to triangulate a third, and then with the resulting unified terrestrial consciousness and the linked non-terrestrial consciousness to triangulate yet again. With this simple geometric pattern to set in motion, the subject precipitated a cosmic ladder to broadcast a distress signal. The subject achieved a duplicating or doubling of the self, a form of primeval photography, by studying the activity of dapples. The dapples became a contrapuntal present self to the past self of the subject. The simple exercise of forgetting the self and remembering the dapples completely, a remembering amplified by the permitting extent and astrological and astronomical ascendancy of a sunlit forest, was a method for the subject to orient a planet-wide mechanism and induce his own alchemization. The starting point of seeing the dapples became sight's alembic ubiquity. The forest was the crystallized forest. The subject's solitude was the double of his solitude, the imagination's body. Nisus had obtained into a retrograde, its shuttling influence almost visually perceptible, so recurrent was its purely abstract gravity, the Nisus of Nisus. In this way, the subject edited his self, tangent to a counterworld. Who is Detective Robert Houdin?